am talking about tonight about her diabetes is super excited. She's super excited because she's finally seen changes happen in her body. She is finally getting things to happen that she has been trying to work on her own for the last year. So her blood sugar has been going higher and higher, right? And she's been working with her family doctor, with her primary care doctor. And it finally came to the point where he said, you know what? You've got diabetes and you have to start a medication. He wanted her to go on metformin. She did start the medication and she stopped it on her own. She said, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like the way I feel. I want to do something different. And so she met me. She talked with a friend who had known me and worked with me. And then she was referred to give me a call to see if we could do anything different. And lo and behold, we have been over the last couple of months, and the changes are really showing. So I want to share that with you. But first, I know some of you who are watching live, and thank you for being here. Remember to like the post and remember to share it. That's how I meet other people who are really looking for something different and a change. I work holistically. I look at the whole you, and I really practice in restorative medicine. And that's important as we're talking about diabetes, because so many of you think that, oh, diabetes, that's pretty major and there's nothing that can be done about that. Well, that's wrong. You don't just have to go on medication because you were told you were diabetic. Think about what they tell you first. Lose weight, start to exercise, and then we'll see. We'll watch your blood sugar. And they do. They watch it go higher and higher and higher. And then they say, oh, ding, ding, ding. You met the quota, you met the criteria. You need to go on medication because diabetes is dangerous. You can lose fingers and toes and decrease circulation, lose nerves, have heart disease, lose your kidneys, etc. It is bad news. It is very dangerous. But if you have type 2 diabetes, if you have adult onset diabetes, you got it later in life, okay? That's an earned degree. That's something that you actually, whether you know it or not, chose it. And so in this specific example that I posted a little bit about, she's choosing no. That's not my destiny. I do not want to go down this diabetes road. So her family doctor was not helping her to get off the road, so she decided to do something different. Something else really interesting and exciting regarding diabetes, though, is another woman that I had worked with years ago. And when she and I first met, she talked about how uncontrollable her diabetes was. She was on medication for it and she took insulin for it. And she took insulin several times a day. She had been to many doctors, many specialists. She worked with the diabetes educator. She always had calls with her endocrinologist, and she was a very, very critical diabetic. The first thing she said, no one can ever get my blood sugars under 150 or 160. And I thought, wow, oh my gosh, this woman, this is really bad disease, right? But long story short, as soon as we started to work together and we changed her food, so the tragedy of diabetes is that once you get diagnosed and then you start medication, you end up eating to justify your medication so that you don't get low. Because when people start to get too low with their blood sugars, they don't feel good. And so you end up, oh, I'm going low, I need to eat sugar. And then you spike. And so they start living this really bad roller coaster which leads them down a horrible road of diabetes and contributes to all of the horrible outcomes that go along with it. And so this other woman who was this uncontrollable diabetic, as soon as we started to look at her food and she stopped eating for her medication and she started eating to fuel her body and to give her body the nutrition it needed, because truly in diabetes, most people are overweight, yet their body and their brain is starving for food. And so it's this vicious cycle because you're overweight, you've got a lot of fat, and that is disrupting some of the hormone signaling, and you just get sicker and sicker and sicker. And you get on more insulin, which you're resistant to, and then you gain more weight and you feel even more horrible. And again, further and further and further down this diabetes road. So in this other scenario, life changed. All she had to do was start to change her food, and her blood sugars came down. We had blood sugars in the 120s. Oh my gosh, no doctor has ever been able to get my blood sugar under 150. Now she's running 120s. That was like a miracle. And that was just based on food. Okay, so let me backtrack here a little bit. From the standpoint of diabetes, we all know what diabetes is. I'm not here to give you a long spiel all about it, but I do want to give you some tips. And I do want to tell you what this other woman that we're reversing her diabetes. She was newly onset, although you've probably had diabetes for at least 2 years before you officially get diagnosed. But you need to know what are some things that I can do. If you're being faced with that diagnosis, I want you to have hope. When you start working with somebody who practices like I do, holistic, restorative, we work to get the body working again. In diabetes, some things stop working. You get resistant to blood sugar control like it should be. But I have to tell you, I can't tell you enough that you've earned it. And you have to be willing to take accountability for that. And you have to be willing to make some changes. If you're willing to make changes, things will change in your body. Now, I am not talking about the person who was diagnosed with diabetes when they were a little kid, or they were a baby, or through their whole teenage years, or maybe even early 20s, they needed insulin. Okay. Typically, that type of person with diabetes, their pancreas is not making the hormone insulin. But when we get diabetes later in life, we're usually overweight, we're eating a horrible diet, we've got tons of stress, we're not sleeping, all kinds of things are going wrong in your body. And that's important to call it out there. Now, I am a firm believer in not putting blame on you or not judging you, but I want you to be accountable and I want you to be responsible to change moving forward. Because once you've got the tools, once you've got the knowledge, there's no reason that you can't start to change your health. So it's all up to you. Just like you chose to go down the path of eating, drinking alcohol, smoking, lots of stress, constant coffee, never sleeping, whatever that bad habit may have been. If you want to change your health, if you want to reverse your diabetes, you need to make the choice that you're going to do it. And then things can start to change, because all disease starts with deficiencies. What aren't you giving your body that it's really crying out for? And toxicities. So this woman that I'm talking about, that I gave you an example, before she and I met, her blood sugars right away in the morning were running around 120. Okay. So for a diagnosis of diabetes, when you have a fasting blood sugar, it's supposed to be under 90. So you haven't eaten all night, you've slept, you get up in the morning, you go get a blood draw or you check your finger stick, and it should be 90 or below. Yay! My body is handling the sugars that I ate, the sugars that are created from different stressors, different triggers, different signals in your body to transport fat and sugar and move energy here or there. All those things are happening while you sleep. And if your blood sugar is higher than 90, and then especially if it's higher than 100, you're not handling it as well as you should. Why? That's the question. Why? Because when you know the answer to the why, well, that's what you need to change. So let me get this out there too. There is no cookie cutter answer. So don't ask me that later and say, Dr. Kelly, what supplement should I take? I have diabetes. Well, I'm not going to give you one. I am not going to tell you a magic supplement to start taking. I am not going to tell you a body hack. I am not going to tell you a secret. Because guess what? Every time you hear those types of words, it's just a scam. It's buy my product, buy this, this is the cure-all be-all, and that's not the way the body works. But you still can change it. And there are supplements that are going to be helpful. Again, it starts in your brain. You have to find value in wanting to change, okay? Most people find the value first in, I just want to lose weight, I just want to lose weight. Well, guess what? When you start to do the things that you need to change your diabetes, the weight's going to come right along with it. So her blood sugar was 120. That's a problem. Yeah, and she refused to take medication. That had nothing to do with me. She refused it before she and I met. Okay, at least I know where she stands. She is adamant. She wants to get this changed. She needs to lose some weight and she needs to get that blood sugar under control. Fantastic. Let's start working on it. What did we do? Now, this is specific to this particular woman, but she made a choice and then we started to run with it. And we started with food. Now, this particular woman, guess what? Was she eating fast food? No, she wasn't at all. In fact, she was eating a lot of vegetables. In fact, she was already doing intermittent fasting for the last year. She had really been working on her health. She had been incorporating a lot of different good health habits, but she still didn't lose weight and her blood sugar still didn't come down. Yet she was doing a lot of the right things that she was reading on the internet, that she was going out and finding, what do I need to do to decrease inflammation? What do I need to do for this? I was taking this supplement. I was eating this. I did intermittent fasting. I'm doing all of these individual things, and it's not giving me the results that I need. How many of you are in that boat? All right. She was doing great things. So if you're the person with diabetes and you eat a lot of fast food, you eat a lot of fried food, you drink a lot of alcohol, you need to change those things. You don't need me to change those things. You need to make the decision that I want to be healthier. I need to cut out fast food. I need to cut out alcohol. I need to start getting sleep, and I need to start taking care of me. And that will set the stage for your body to change. Now, for one person, that may be exactly what they need to do, and they're going to start to reverse their diabetes. For the next person, just like this woman I'm talking to, blood sugar's running around 120. That is way too high. That means blood glucose is too high. That's inflammatory. That makes her gain weight. That makes her hold on to fat cells. That makes her insulin resistant. And insulin is the key hormone that grabs onto the glucose and pulls it into a cell and lets you use it. You burn it for energy. Except when you don't need it, when you don't need to use it, and then it just gets stored as a fat cell. But the more sugar you eat, the more insulin you make, and the more insulin that's around, the more resistant you get to it working, okay? I did a video for you about why sugar makes you fat. And so look for that on my YouTube channel, because that's going to talk a lot about that phenomenon and how that works, or how sugar makes you fat. Dr. Kelly Felmer, go to my YouTube channel and you'll be able to watch that video that I did last year for you. So this woman was already eating good. I mean, the easy ones are when I can say, stop eating the fried food all the time. It's making you fat. Stop eating the sugar all the time, the candy and Skittles and, ice cream and thing after thing after thing and tons of alcohol. You're driving up your blood sugar. You are causing your diabetes. Change your diet and things are going to change and it's going to come down. But that wasn't this woman. She was eating pretty good. Oh gosh. Well, that just means she has diabetes and there's nothing to do, right? No, that's why I'm telling you her story. Okay. There is not one thing that people need to do. You have to look at yourself as a whole. You need a good provider to look at you and to give you the best care for you. Again, she was doing tons of individual things that were great, but they weren't pulled together. They weren't enough, or they weren't the right things for her to make the difference. And now, over the last just 2 months, we've been able to take her blood sugar from 120, we got it down to 103. We were ecstatic. That's perfect. We've been supporting her body. We did some testing to find out what foods she was reacting to, because she was already eating good. And we found out what foods caused inflammation, caused irritation. And when we find that out, we can get those foods out of the way so that her body is not distracted and not irritated and not inflamed, so it can do what it's supposed to do with the other things. Another major thing for this particular woman is that we did some hormone and stress hormone testing. And the thing to understand about stress, okay, and I'm going to put in a little plug for, I put it in the comments, but if you need work on your diabetes and want to work one-on-one, go to drkellyfelmer.com, get signed up as a new patient. If you aren't sure if you want to do that yet, but you need to change your lifestyle, you need to change the food, and you just don't know what to do, go to drkellyfelmer.com and click on retreats. I want you to come to my next 3-day retreat in July. Okay, you can get registered to join me. I'll be with you all 3 days to help you start to change your lifestyle. And that is super, super important. If you haven't done anything yet, you need to consider doing that. It's going to help you make a huge change. But this particular woman was eating good. So, oh my gosh, what else is there to do? Well, we found out her food allergies. Started to change her foods. We did testing and we found out about her stress hormones. So at the retreat, guess what? We have a special guest who's an expert on stress and stress hormones, and she's going to teach you too. So with every person that I work with one-on-one, we talk about stressors. And this is a game changer for the woman that I'm talking about. Her foods were a game changer. Well, first thing, she needed to decide this was not her destiny, so that she could really make the changes she needed to change. Second thing was her food. We needed to find out what foods make her inflamed. Third thing, we needed to find out more about her stress hormones. So again, at the retreats, we talk a lot about stress. There are not many healthcare providers, functional medicine providers, integrative providers, whatever type of provider, restorative medicine, that talk about stress with you. Yet stress is the major reason that people get sick. It's the major reason why your blood sugar goes higher. Did you know that? Your food gives you glucose. And if you're eating really bad, it makes your glucose go really high. But did you know that stress increases your glucose? We have to focus on your stress. And remember, stress comes in all different forms. Physical stress, mental stress, worry stress, made up stress, not sleeping stress, hate my job stress, always stressed when I get home, kids are stressing me out. Whatever the stressors may be, no matter where they're coming from, no matter how small or how big, your brain sends the message to your adrenal gland and you release corticosteroids. You release tons of hormones, excitatory hormones, adrenaline, right? That's the start of your stress response. And then the second phase of your stress response, you release steroids. Steroids drive up your glucose. So as your steroids, your cortisol and cortisone are going up, so is your glucose, and you're becoming more resistant to the use of insulin in your body. So we had to find out what was stressing this woman and when she was being stressed. And she was pretty unique. Some of you know exactly what's stressing you out. And then when we look at your stress pattern, we figure out, oh, you're super high, your cortisol is high all the time. Or we find out you're super low all the time. You're so burnt out. We need to support your body. Your adrenal gland can't handle any other stress. These are the things that we start to find out. With this particular woman, what we found out was, hey, when she first wakes up in the morning, she's already started the stress response. And then she overshoots. Within the first 2 hours of getting up, she goes from being higher than she should be to super dynamic, double the amount she should be. And then the rest of the day, she's okay. So morning time, super stressed, overreactive, overcompensating, totally driving up her glucose. So we identified different things, different patterns, different routines. How are we going to change that morning routine? How are we going to change your bedtime routine to get better sleep so you're not already stressing before you even get out of bed? And then why are you overshooting? Those are the things that we started to change. She made the decision. We changed her foods on a woman who was already eating lots of vegetables, lots of fresh foods, and we started to change her stressors. Great. She's improving. Things are great. That's what took us from 120 to 103. And then more recently, we started to detox her body. So in this first phase, we're discovering what her problem is, where she really has the issues. We're starting to work on that. She's getting really good at how she's eating, changing her exercise, working on her stressors, incorporating in more meditation and prayer, relaxing things, changing the routine, and everything is going just as it should be. So we supported her body to help her body change those things that I just mentioned, and also then to calm the stress response and to give it the ingredients that it was missing to better handle blood sugar. So we supported her body in those areas where she needed it, and then we started to flush it out. So over our lifespans, even for those who eat very, very clean, who eat lots of vegetables, who eat lots of organic, we're still getting exposed to lots of different pesticides and chemicals and pollution and things. So we still have toxins that we get exposed to that we need to get out of our bodies. And so we started on a detox. She was eating amazing. And then we even got a little more strict. We really, really started to focus on vegetables and working on the gut and cleaning out the bowels. Eating really clean, lots of vegetables, working on the gut and cleaning out the bowels. That's what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. And it was the thing that took her originally from 120 to 103, and now from 103 till she got up today and her blood sugar was 80. For the last year, she's been hovering at 120. She's been eating well. She's been exercising. And she couldn't get that blood sugar to come down because she didn't do the right combination of things because she didn't know and nobody was helping her. She was taking pieces of information, of good information, of things to help improve her health. And then we started to put it all together, found out where she specifically needed help. Again, I didn't give her a magic supplement. Are we using supplements? Yes, we are. And we're supporting her exactly where she needs it. So she made a decision. I am not going down this diabetes road. I do not want to be on this medication. I am going to change. And then we changed her food based on testing and what her body said the foods were that were irritating her. We worked on her gut. we worked on her bowels, we worked on sleep, we worked on pain, and we worked on stress. All of those go into the stress category too. And then we started to detox her. She's been losing weight, her blood sugars come down, and she is now on the road to reversing her diabetes. With that blood sugar today, she's no longer qualified. She's no longer in that category to be considered diabetic. Now she needs to keep it going, okay? She needs to finish her detox. She needs to keep eating well. We're going to keep targeting. She's got a little bit more weight to lose, but she's been losing it, and she wasn't able to lose it over the last year. So it's the right combination of supporting her body, giving it what it needs, taking away all of the mucky muck of things that are making her sick. And that's how we get her body to start to change. And so it opens up the door for her body to heal and repair. So that's the story that I wanted to share with you. Remember, I shared a very different story with you as well of a woman who was on tons of insulin, lots of medication, that was told she just has completely uncontrollable diabetes. And that was not true. When we worked together, we got her insulin to cut in half for the dose. And if she kept eating well, she could keep it there. So she was reversing her diabetes too, even though when she and I met, was on a large amount of medication. We got it under better control. That was the first thing. Super important in her overall health and her longevity and down the road. She had started to lose weight, had already lost 20 pounds, cut the insulin dose in half. It is possible to reverse diabetes. You just have to start to do the right things, and you need to find out what your body needs. So if you go out and you Google and say, what supplement do I need to take for diabetes? You're going to find a whole bunch of them. If you don't take enough, if it's not a good quality, if you don't do other things that your body needs, guess what? It's not going to work. So I hope that was helpful for you. I think I did a little bit of rambling on in the beginning. Sorry about that. That's what happens when I tell stories. I'm going to keep trying to bring you success stories or give you hope and inspiration of people who are changing their health, who are feeling so much better, who are losing the weight that they want to, or reversing their disease, reversing their arthritis, whatever it might be, finding joy again in life, stopping the panic attacks that they're having. Those are all great stories that I've got to tell. So I'm going to try to do some more Facebook Lives, bring you those stories. So hopefully one of them connects with you with something you've got going on. Again, drkellyfelmer.com is where you're going to find information about how to work with me one-on-one if you would like to schedule an appointment. And I do all of my consults by video consultation. Or join me in person. If you don't want to do videos, then you need to come join me in person. Go ahead to drkellyfelmer.com and then click on the button for retreats. Take a look and get registered, and I will see you at my next retreat for 3 days, and we are going to super scrub your body and get you tuned up. So I will talk to you again real soon, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening.